Hi, Matthew.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
just unmuted you.
excellent, great. I think I need to, Ahmad should be joining us in just a second.
Okay. Did you get my email? It was just a few minutes ago.
Yes, I did. That's excellent, that's great news.
It might be with everybody's lives scrambled the last couple days. We're not getting as many people. Is that a cuckoo clock?
No, it's just a regular one.
I guess since we should probably wait just a couple minutes since.
Sure, absolutely.
Mark, are you expecting other people?
No, I'm not really. Well, I'm not sure who. I'm not expecting lots of people. I just want to make sure Holly got invited. And I realized that was before I realized that you'd sent it to everybody in town.
Yep. Well, I guess more people were interested in the police department. Did get 45 people for that event, but this is more important. I mean, it's longer lasting. That's all. Well, what do you want to do? Should we give it 1 more minute or 2 more minutes?
Yeah, we're okay with that. It's up to
Yeah,
you.
yeah, certainly. Yeah, we'll leave it up to you.
Oh yeah, we're here. It's your call, Becky.
Okay. We'll wait.
Becky, should we reschedule if no one else shows up? Should we reschedule it?
We're recording, so I talked with Matt about rescheduling yesterday, but then the whole lake area did come back up. I'm not sure if we'd get any more people next time, Mark.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, or the other thing is I could encourage people around the lake to jump in. It's your guys' call. I just
Yeah.
It's an important thing, but I want also, I appreciate the value of these guys' time.
Yeah. And I know we will have the video so people, recording of it so they can watch the recording. And then if there's follow-up questions, I can collect them. But if you want to reach out to anybody, I did just put, oh good, here's Penny.
It came on good.
And and I just put another reminder out right at 6 o'clock. So hopefully that'll help a little bit. Hi, Penny.
Hi, Becky.
We are delaying just a little bit because we only have 7 people here right now.
Okay.
Which is, we've been getting much better response, but I think with everybody's internet and power on and off.
Does anyone have a sense of how long this will be? I'm in the middle of cooking dinner. Half an hour, hour?
The presentation is about 15 minutes or 20 minutes.
And then questions?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm just going to text a couple people and then we'll begin. Oh, we have another person. Hi, Lisa.
I believe, oh, Lisa,
Lisa is
that
muted.
might be our,
Yeah.
Oh, it's your,
she's from Niche, yeah.
okay, so far it's 50-50. Well, not
Okay,
quite.
sorry, I couldn't find my mute. Hello, good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you.
Lisa.
Hey, Iman.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we should jump in.
Okay.
Okay. So
You want me?
hello, Imad. Thank
Hello.
you for coming to the Zoom meeting tonight with Matt, your engineer. This is Imad Elsaka, and Matt, I don't know how to pronounce your last name.
Stakewitz, Matt Stakewitz.
Stakewitz, who have both, Imad came out originally a few years back and helped us get our dam inspected and the area and the roadways, the culvert inspected, which hadn't been done in much too long. So that was the start of the project. After that, we were able to apply for the municipal small bridge grant. And with Imad's assistance and Matt as well, putting that together, we received a $500,000 grant, which covers the engineering and design, and then the remainder will go towards construction. There will be a construction bid done at the end of the engineering work. Welcome, Walter. And we're tonight, Imad and Matt will do a presentation that will last about 15 minutes to be followed with questions from the audience. And if you just raise your hand or with a little symbol, I think the symbol is down there. Does everyone see the, if it's not, it's an open meeting, so just I will try to recognize you as you indicate by raising your hand that you would like to ask a question. And with that, Imad, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Becky. And let me share my screen. All right. Thank you, Becky, very much. And it's been really a pleasure supporting and working with the town over the last few years on this important project. And again, my name is Imad Elsaka. I'm the Director of Structural Engineering at Niche. And I'm here also with my colleague, Matt Stakewitz, who's also a structural engineer in the structural department here at Niche. And also, nice surprise, we're joined by our president and CEO, Lisa Brothers, who's also joining the meeting. I'm just gonna go quickly over an outline of the presentation, and then we'll go into each item. We'll give a quick history, and thanks, Becky, for sharing that. You kind of stole my thunder there, but I'm gonna be repeating that information there.
I think people came in after I said things. We had about 3 people join us, so if you could do it again, that'd be very helpful.
Perfect, perfect. We have it there. We're gonna, of course, you're all familiar with the location. We'll just give a quick map or a view of the location of the project, project needs, project goals, what we're trying to accomplish, also a project schedule. How do we anticipate things moving forward from here? and also just describe the proposed improvements and the project impacts. Quick history of the project, of course, June 2017, I had the pleasure of walking down and through the culvert and performed the inspection. Of course, discovered some, advanced deterioration of the steel corrugated culvert, which I thought it would be a very good candidate for the small bridge program by MassDOT. So we immediately assisted the town in July of 2017 in preparing the application. And as most of you know, it's a very competitive program. And in October 2018, we succeeded in securing the funding for the project. And this project was selected by MassDOT in June 2019. MassDOT provided the notice to proceed to begin the design of the culvert. First, the project is located in your town, the beautiful town of Shutesbury, and it's basically the culvert supports Locks Pond Road near the Wyola State Park and Wyola Lake. Close-up of the project location shows where the culvert is and how close it is to the dam and to the lake. And of course, it's right next to the intersection between Locks Road and Lakeview Road. Why do we need this project? It's really, it was evident from my inspection of the project that to improve public safety and to improve the infrastructure for the town of Shutesbury, this project or this culvert really needs to be replaced. I'll be sharing with you some of the observations that we discovered during the inspection and the follow-up work, but in general, really the culvert itself, and also some of the grading in the surrounding of the culverts that I also will share with you some of our observations. This picture tells you the full story pretty much. Advanced section loss in the culvert along the water line. It's pretty typical type of deterioration, of course, for steel corrugated culverts of this age. And it's not just the picture on the left is more of a close-up, but the one on the right shows you that this loss of section and deterioration along the full length of the culvert. It's not just one spot. So it's really a good candidate for funding for those reasons. Other observations, the wing walls, these stone walls near the ends of the culverts, you could see the vegetation going through the walls and loss of stone and evidence of movement. And also it's not as visible, but there is some scour, also some scour at the bottom of these walls. Other conditions also that we observed during the inspection and also during the initial field visits for the design is how steep the embankments are, and the guardrails. The standard detail typically has soil supporting the post. In this condition, the steepness of the embankment, basically the embankment starts slope right at the post, which really doesn't provide sufficient support for the post. So the safety is also an issue even outside the culvert, not just from the culvert itself, because these guardrails do not meet the current safety standards. And also erosion, and there's evidence of erosion, especially on the westerly side of the culvert, and as shown here in some of the drainage swales, and that erosion is really evident throughout that steep embankment as well. So plenty of improvements that are needed, and which leads me here to the project goals. Really have four major goals of the project, and I'll briefly describe them. Safety, of course, top priority. I mean, the culvert is in bad shape, and it really has to be replaced, and also the approaches and the guardrail and the erosion, all along the safety improvements. This is it's an important piece of infrastructure for the town, and I think improving the infrastructure of the town and avoiding any God forbid any future collapses or any future issues, whether it's from the culvert itself or the hydraulic conveyance of the culvert, I think this improving the infrastructure is another major goal. Stability is another major goal. Stabilizing the embankment and the roadway and the guardrails. And also our project goal is to minimize environmental impact as we do these repairs. We want to do it in the least disruptive manner to the environment and in the fastest construction possible. And that's, I'll be explaining how we achieve that. Project scope, basically, we're going to replace the entire culvert and its wing walls. We're going to replace it with 100% precast concrete culvert and wing walls. So everything is going to be precast. It offers good quality, good finished material, and also speed of construction, so that when we talk about traffic management later and detours, it's the fastest method of construction, so that we provide the least amount of disturbance to the traveling public and to the local residents. Of course, as I mentioned, the embankment, regrading the embankment and improving the stability. I'll be sharing some the design concepts of how we plan to achieve that. And we also, importantly, very important aspect of this project, and very important in the scope of work of this project, is the hydraulic analysis. We wanted to confirm the hydraulic opening and the adequacy of the opening without causing any major disturbance downstream. So we looked at multiple openings that I can talk about later, but we just, as a major scope element, we wanted to confirm the adequate hydraulic opening. On the project schedule, basically, the environmental permitting already started. We prepared and submitted the notice of intent to the local conservation commission. And we anticipate sometime in September, perhaps, to get the order of conditions. Right of way and easement acquisition, as I will show you later, most of the work is within the right of way, but there is a piece for installation of riprap that will require permanent easement. That's why we anticipate that this taking a little bit longer. So we think between August 2020 and February 21st to go through the easement acquisition process. Final design and Chapter 85 review. We've been coordinating with MassDOT every step of the way. They have seen the initial design, and they are in agreement with the approach we're taking. However, at the end of design, we are required to submit a Chapter 85 review and approval, when we anticipate to obtain that in March 21. Then we'll follow that by the bidding and advertisement. That may take a couple of months, starting in May 21st. And then we anticipate beginning of construction in July 21st. And we timed it in a way that also we want the flow to be the smallest, so that the water control cost, excuse me, will be the lowest. Proposed improvement, just a quick summary of that. Basically, this is looking at the culvert from the dam behind me, and I'm looking at the east elevation. So I'm looking at the culvert with the dam behind me, and you'll see the precast culvert and the two wing walls that will replace the existing walls. And the shape, and as I will show you on the west elevation, the size and the layout of the walls also will, those walls will be a little bit taller than the existing ones, so that we improve the grading of the site. But it's, very basic construction, fast. Precast culverts is done all the time. We're just going to basically remove the existing culvert and replace it with the new one. This is a plan view of the culvert, and basically shows the project limits. Up on top, on the easterly side of the culvert is the dam, and pretty much most of the project, as I mentioned in the right-of-way impacts, we are building it within the existing right-of-way, except for the riprap blanket that you see on the westerly side with the hatch right there. That's the one that's going to require the easement. But everything else is built within the right-of-way. These walls here, we're adding them. They do not exist now. and we're adding them to on the westerly side to improve the grading and reduce the steepness of the embankment and minimize the erosion as well. This is an elevation shot of the westerly side of the bridge, westerly elevation. And again, you see the two wing walls on both sides of the culvert. And that's in addition to the existing walls. They don't exist right now. And that's how we achieved, improve the safety for the guardrail as well as the minimizing erosion. This is a longitudinal section, and it shows that we're installing riprap also at the bottom floor of the culvert, also to help absorb some of the energy and minimize the erosion downstream. There is existing, as I mentioned, some of the existing conditions. There is scour, and this riprap inside the culvert and then outside downstream will help resist that scour and stabilize the embankments and the riverbank on downstream, because right now there is evidence of scour and it's not as stable. So on the top of the culvert, of course, you see the fill is, there's going to be plenty of fill there to provide adequate support for the guardrail and also to have to meet the safety standards for that. Project impacts, basically the most important, of course, that a lot of people have interest in is the traffic and what are we going to go through during construction. Now, of course, to achieve speed of construction and to achieve economy, definitely the road needs to be closed during construction. And by the use of precast construction, that would, it's not involved in 30-day curing of concrete. We anticipate, the duration of construction to be 3 to 4 weeks to install the new culverts and pave the road over it. The detour is shown here in the orange, is the detour for the project. And it's about a 12-mile detour. We think it's about 18 minutes. It's basically, you're familiar with the area, but it'll take you from North Leverett Road to Cave Hill Road, down to Montague Road, and then back to Leverett. And that's the official detour. But we also identified a local traffic detour, which is highlighted in blue, what you see here in blue, and that will be only open to the local residents, the local traffic. It will be signed as such, and just basically to provide the convenience that people don't have to loop around for 12 miles to get to their homes. So that's pretty much the traffic management that we are thinking about. So Wendell Road will continue to be open during construction, as shown here on the traffic management plan. Environmental impacts, of course, we always strive to minimize. It's engraved in our brains here at Niche. We care about the environment and the community, and everything we do, we really put it through the test of minimum environmental impact to simplify things and minimize, again, impact during construction. So we have identified the wetlands, of course, we flagged them. We do not, and we will not be impacting in any permanent way other than normal construction activity. We flagged the wetlands and we are not encroaching on any wetlands. We basically also have not identified any historical disturbance or any historical impact. It's a very straightforward project, and as far as the permitting involved, it's basically just, as I mentioned before, the local conservation commission, notice of intent, and then of course the conservation commission will issue the order of condition for the project. A right-of-way, there is a right-of-way impact, as I said before, and this is pretty much it. You see here the hatched area where the blanket of riprap that we plan to install at the westerly side of the culvert. Everywhere else, everything is done inside the right-of-way, except for that blanket. And it's really gonna greatly improve and stabilize the riverbank and the riverbed itself. So there's a huge benefit to the project in terms of providing, of course, the proper scour protection, because with all the of course, the events and how severe the storms are, and the more that we can provide protection and proper scour protection, the more that we protect our infrastructure, and that the less the chances of having disturbance and culverts washing away basically under the storm. So it's really an important protection measure that is needed, and it's not just needed for the culvert itself, it's also needed to stabilize the riverbank. And that's the two abutters on both sides, I think, stand to benefit from that protection. But since we will be, on their property, that would require a permanent easement, as I mentioned before. With that concludes my presentation. I turn it over to Becky and open it up for any questions. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Imad.
You're welcome.
I'm trying to find a way to see everyone. We have 12
We're in a
people
spot.
now.
Okay.
Hi, Mark.
Hi. Quick, can I jump with the first question is, one of the things we were hoping for is to get the walls of the culvert calibrated so that we would know the amount of water flowing out of the lake. The original culvert was marked. We had marks on the walls. Is it possible to get those walls calibrated, or so we know flow rate?
In terms of we ran the hydraulic analysis with the multiple openings. I'm not sure. Could you elaborate in terms of calibration? What do you mean by that?
Howard, can you jump in?
He has to get unmuted.
Yeah, he's muted.
Howard, let me try to unmute you.
And the hydraulic opening itself has been, of course, modeled in our hydraulic model.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
I can hear you. So the opening itself has been, of course, we looked at multiple openings and we considered how much water is being conveyed and what potential impact downstream to the properties. So the opening itself, and also the walls and how they're flared like that, also is included in the model. So that we have modeled in the hydraulic model, and we have elevations based on the 25-year storm, and we have those elevations. So, but go ahead. I think Howard, if you like.
Well, in the past we had a mark on the culvert itself where we knew how much water, by measuring how much water was going downstream. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think,
and I thought that they were going to mark the new culvert also, so we know how much we have to discharge a certain amount of water, and I would like at least that part marked, where the minimum amount of water that has to. So when you're opening and closing the gate, you can look downstream and see how much water you're losing or how much is going.
Right. It sounds like it's their flow rate gauge. It's their ability to measure how much flow is going through the dam, and I think that's probably something we can do with. I'm sure the hydraulic analysis, hasn't looked at that exactly, but it should be something we can get pretty easily.
Okay.
And
yeah. If I may, Walter Tibbetts, if I may speak, that's exactly what it was. They had marks on there, so when it reached a certain mark, they knew how many cubic feet per minute was flowing at different marks. Of course, it is going to be quite a bit different with a 10-foot opening, 10-foot wide opening, which allows more water to go through on a major flow. But when you're at low flow, it's going to be a quarter-inch change in the round culvert was one thing. A quarter-inch change in a 10-foot wide culvert is going to be a lot different, Howard. So it may work to your advantage. The increments will be so small to get the minimum flow. It may or may not work.
Right. So we can certainly. That's something that our model can absolutely tell us. What the level of the flow through the culvert would be at certain elevations, and we can provide that information to you or Howard or whoever's operating the dam, and so you'll have, again, like you said, it might be a much smaller change, might be a little more difficult to gauge, but we can certainly provide that so that you have some feel for operation when this is first installed.
Very good.
And it'd become more, in a culvert like that, become more important as we get into storms to know, how much we are actually flowing over when we're, we have theoreticals on so many inches high over the outflow should be this many cubic feet a minute, but if we could get it calibrated there, it's just a second way to know.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Matt.
Becky,
Yeah.
there's one minor thing. When he was giving the information on the routes, when the culvert is closed, they said,
Cave Hill.
huh?
Were you going to say it? They said Cave Hill, and
Yeah,
I
Cave
wanted
Hill,
to
and that's
bring that up.
Cooleyville. It's not Cooleyville Road, not Cave Hill.
Oh, okay.
Oh, for the traffic?
I'll let our transportation engineers know to make that correction.
Are you sure
Sorry
it's
about that.
Cooleyville?
Yeah, Cave Hill is in North Leverett.
Right. I
Right, and
know
what he was
Morris
saying,
Corner.
Howie, was they go down North Leverett Road to Cave Hill Road to Montague Road in Leverett, and then come back.
They're not in, well, they're not coming
Is that
up
not
the regular
correct?
Montague Road. All right,
Or was that Montague Road in Shutesbury that they're coming up?
It should
No,
be.
it's through Leverett. It's Montague Road in Leverett. That's the best.
then you're right. Sorry.
But there, I don't think we need to go on Cave Hill, because doesn't Montague Road intersect North Leverett?
No, it does not. Montague Road comes out onto Route 63. If you take it
Yeah,
out, so North Leverett Road goes to 63. So in that case, you'd be going all the way down North Leverett Road into Montague,
But
63 over to Montague Road. So if you North Leverett Road down to North Leverett Center where the church is, made the left there, that's Cave Hill Road. That brings you to Montague Road, just north of the center of Leverett.
yeah, it goes by the school.
I think there's an intersection at the co-op, isn't there?
Yes,
The
that's Cooleyville.
intersection at the co-op brings you either, that's Dudleyville Road, that brings you to Montague Road in Shutesbury,
Right.
or Rattlesnake Gutter, which is closed.
Yeah, I think then it would be Dudleyville is the shortest route.
Would
North
it,
Road to Dudleyville.
Right.
Would it
I'm sharing
help
this
to look-
screen
yeah.
again,
Heavy
yeah.
traffic going over Montague Road. I mean, Montague Road is a super traveled road right now.
Yeah,
Well, the reason I think we're gonna have to look at having Wendell Road open to the public, but that's even worse than Montague Road.
yeah.
So-
Yeah, what we were trying to avoid is having trucks and heavy traffic down Wendell Road, because we know, obviously it's a dirt road. It's harder to,
And
get traffic down. So I believe the detour we have shown right now is the shortest detour, and that would essentially be for, trucks and any, the official detour marked out on, with signs. And again, I believe this is Cave Hill Road to Montague Road, and then down through Leverett here would be the shortest detour. Again, I know there is a Montague Road in here as well, but that also is similar to Wendell Road, and we wanted to avoid any heavy
Correct.
traffic or trucks along either of those if we could. So it's a quite lengthy detour, but it's the shortest our transportation engineers were able to determine. But we certainly, obviously this input is good. You guys know the area much better than we do, and that's why we're doing these meetings to.
And there's gonna be road work done on Dudleyville, but you're saying it really is Cave Hill that you're talking about.
Yeah, they're talking further down.
Okay.
is there an estimated time that this detour will be needed?
We, Ahmad, you can
Go ahead,
answer
Matt.
this
Go
if you
ahead,
need to,
Matt.
but we're estimating conservatively 3 to 4 weeks. It's all precast construction that we're proposing, which one, for economic reasons, is minimize costs, but also to minimize the duration of construction. So based on similar projects we've done in the past, they've taken around 3 weeks to 4 weeks. but that depends on the contractor and the conditions we get. And we were shooting to do it at low flow of the river, but again, that will impact, how construction proceeds.
And that would be August?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what we're shooting for.
Yeah, July, August timeframe. Yeah.
Okay.
Penny Jakes here. I have a couple of questions. And I'm on the Conservation Commission, so one question has to do with that, but one is just a point of interest. I'll ask that first. What is the longevity of a concrete culvert, and how does that relate to the one you're replacing as far as its longevity was?
Yeah, it's a 50-year design life. So 50 years.
And how, just out of curiosity, how long did the previous culvert or the existing culvert last?
We don't have exactly the date of construction, Becky. I don't know if you have that date, but usually corrugated steel culverts, they just don't last as long as concrete culverts. I mean, if you get 25, 30 years, maybe, that would be good. But for concrete culverts, we feel pretty confident that we can achieve the design life of 50 years.
Thank you. And then my question from the perspective of being on the Conservation Commission is whether you're required to meet stream crossing standards for the culvert?
So
go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead,
Ahmad. So we definitely have reviewed all the stream crossing standards, and we do as much as we can to meet those standards. I don't believe there's a requirement by MassDOT to meet those standards by DER. But like I said, we are environmentally conscious, and we certainly strive to meet as much of the stream crossings as we can. And one of the things we've done is, rather than having just a bare bottom culvert, we've put riprap along the bottom, and that will be covered to provide more of a natural stream bed than a concrete a steel corrugated culvert.
It's just to add to that, this is pretty standard design for similar projects that have met the stream requirements and standards.
Well, I'm sure we'll get to talk about it more in the upcoming month or so.
Yep.
Absolutely, yes. Yep.
And you said the NOI has been submitted at this point. I don't think.
I'm not sure if it's been submitted. It's Becky signed it earlier this week, and our permitting team is working on that. So if they haven't submitted it by now, they will be submitting it very, very shortly.
Okay, and then my last question stems from a conversation I had with Howard and Walter a few weeks back, in which we discussed adding a couple of other small projects to this notice of intent. Becky, Walter, you might be able to describe that better than I can, but it's putting in some sort of a gauge and repairing some cracks in the existing dam. It would be great to do all that at the same time.
Meeting.
What was that, Becky? Go ahead.
Walter, those were the issues that you brought up to Matt and Imad at the meeting we had, I think back in February, where you wanted the weir and the other place placed. So the question is whether those are in the notice of intent. Is that the question?
Well, I guess that would be great if they were in the notice of intent. It would certainly be a good thing to do those at the same time, because I presume you're going to have to do some sort of dewatering while you're putting in the replacement culvert.
Exactly. Yes. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, and we've talked about this with Howard and in the past, and there's a weir that wasn't placed properly when the dam was repaired, and so they were hoping to move that to another area where it could be easily, where it would be working properly. And there was some other, I think we talked about possibly grading for the truck access down to the dam and some other things like that. So we're aware of those. We definitely are working with the town to do any of those minor things that, while we're also doing construction on the site.
Right, I'm just saying they do need to be either under this notice of intent or some other notice of intent to move forward with those.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, just for funding, just to clarify, just for funding purposes, of course, it can't be part of this project. It'll be part of another project.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
Well,
the small bridge funding is primarily for the culvert itself and its immediate wing walls, pretty much. So, but I mean, so our notice of intent is primarily to cover the culvert work. Right now, it does not include anything else, to my knowledge.
okay, so it sounds like Walter and Becky, you two need to work on having another notice of intent signed, sealed, and delivered so the work could be done at the same time.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, those are my questions. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Just a clarification, I stand to be corrected. I said submitted, I think it was to the town and not to the Conservation Commission itself. So,
Yep. I'll check with Jen. For some reason, I thought she had submitted it as well, but I'll double check with her. If, like I said, if it hasn't been submitted, it's probably on the way out right now.
Yeah. And actually, I do have a question to the agent. If we submit soon, or in the next few days, because I'm aware that it's almost done, if not completed. What's the time frame? Do you think September time frame is reasonable for the order of conditions?
Hard to say, but without seeing your notice. So we have a meeting next Thursday. I think you're too late to meet that deadline. The next meeting after that is the 4th Thursday in August.
Okay.
And it's hard to say whether we'll have any questions that are unresolved at the end of that meeting. Hopefully September.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we'll work with you. We'll send you what you need.
Okay.
We have all the information you need, so we'll send it over.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So this is Linda Scott. I'm the land use clerk. And under the special legislation during COVID-19, I just want to let you know that in addition to paper submission, we do need electronic submission. And it needs to, in addition to coming to the Conservation Commission office, it also needs to go to the town clerk, which is not usual for Wetland Protection Act submissions, but because of the special legislation for land use permitting, it does need to go that way for the official date time stamp for receipt.
Sure. Yeah.
Thanks.
We'll do. We'll do.
Any more questions?
I have a question. This is Rob Hayes on Park Corner Road. I don't know whether it's in the scope of these guys' work, but we obviously want to get the Wendell Road in as good a shape as possible. Has that been assessed in any way for, culverts or other small bridges, etc.?
We redid the culvert on Wendell Road it's almost 18 months ago now, or it might only be, is it just a year, Linda? But that was done in preparation. It only took us about 8 or 10 years to do that. But that was done in preparation for this repair. We knew that we had to have that open to the public before we could close down the other access to Lake Wyola. So that has been fully replaced and is in good condition. The rest of the road is still a dirt road.
Very good. You're way ahead of me. Just checking.
I appreciate the question. Thank you. Mark?
One question typically comes up is, will there be need to bypass water around the culvert during the construction? And do you guys know how that will be done? Will it be done with pumps or?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think, with the dam control, of course, and the low flow season, we're hoping that the flow will be minimal, but any flow, and we know that it's not going to be zero, so any flow will just be bypassing it with pumps and just over the embankment and pumping it downstream. So that's pretty standard to create dry conditions during the installation of the new culvert.
So these will be diesel pumps, probably? I think it always comes up as a noise concern. And is there any comments on that? Any way around it?
Matt? Matt?
Yeah, I guess that might be means and method of the contractor, and determining how they're going to do it. But if that is a certain concern, I think we can maybe talk with the town. And Ahmad, I don't know if you have comments, but we can put that maybe as a provision or a specification to avoid that. But again, that's maybe increasing costs of dewatering, and we've certainly been striving to decrease costs as much as possible. But certainly that's what we're looking for, this sort of input for these meetings. So
yeah, I mean, definitely, again, just to back up what Matt was saying, is means and methods, and depending on how much flow, and that determines the size of the pump, and of course that fixes the noise. But I think it's going to be a short duration, because it's not going to be a lengthy, once they do the pumping, put prepare the sub base, these units of these culverts, they go really quick as far as erection. So once you erect the precast culverts, the duration of this noise is not going to be like the full 4 weeks. You don't really, once you establish the new bottom, basically, you don't have to run them continuously for the full duration. But we can specify, of course, that noise to be kept to a minimum, or select equipment. But it's really, at the end of the day, it's going to be the contractor's means and methods and available equipment to give us the best price. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Ahmad, does the dewatering happen 24/7? Would it be a diesel pump running 24/7?
Yes, I would say yes. It doesn't have to be running during the demo, but during the prepping of the sub base, yes, we simply have to just bypass it and then just dump it downstream. That's pretty standard practice for culvert construction.
And it wouldn't necessarily be the entire duration of the detour that we had given. It would be the couple days possibly that they are preparing the subbase for the culvert and then placing the culvert. But once it's in place, then they can end dewatering.
Okay, so it's more like a week, not 4 weeks.
Yeah, hopefully, maybe, for that, hopefully a week for the pumping once they put the culvert in, yes.
I know in the last few days, we've all been hearing generators running non-stop all over town. So maybe we'll be used to it by then. I don't know. But I'm sure it'll be a concern for someone. Thank you for bringing that up, Mark. Any other questions? I think one question I always have is, I know the spec is for 25-year storm. If we do get 100-year storm, what would we anticipate? How would the new culvert handle a 100-year storm?
So, Matt, go ahead, Matt.
The hydraulic opening is slightly increased, not a major increase over what is currently there. So, at the 25-year storm, we'll provide a 2.5 foot clearance between the top of the water and the culvert. That's what we call a freeboard. For a 50-year and 100-year storm, the water will creep up to the very top of the culvert. For a 100-year storm, it might even go above the culvert. But the important thing that we confirmed during the hydraulic analysis is that it would not overtop the roadway. So even during a 100-year event, the roadway will remain open. You won't ever run into an impact, a situation where the water would ever come up to the roadway. So yeah, but like during a 50-year and 100-year event, you could expect water very close to the top of the culvert, if not over the very top of it, of the opening, I should say.
Okay, so when that happens, does it back up into the lake or?
No, I mean, yeah.
You go ahead, Matt, sorry.
Yeah, the where the culvert is, that embankment would act kind of as an additional dam, necessarily. So yeah, water would back up to into the lake and rise the level of the lake, somewhat, but it's a very large area, so the total amount it would rise is not feet, it would be inches.
Yeah, and the opening, the conveyance of the water will continue when this backup happens. So it depends on the duration of the storm and the intensity of it. It'll continue to drain. It's just that it will eventually create a small pond until that water is passing through the opening.
Yeah.
So it will not be a long-term, event.
Anyone else have a question? Okay. I know you will be working with conservation this coming end of the month and the next one, so people will have an opportunity to go to that those events and ask more questions if they have them at that point. And so I guess for tonight, you have answered everyone's questions.
Great.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for the PowerPoint and the maps and the explanation. And I will be contacting you probably tomorrow about the other issues around who owns the south side of the Swift River.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, and we definitely, we'll continue pushing, of course, to wrap up the design as fast as we can, because we would like to also advertise it and just to make sure that we advertise on time within the time limitations of the funding program. So we, we'll continue to work with you, and we'll do the best we can to keep moving the project.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
You're
everyone,
welcome.
for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
You're welcome.
Good night.
All right.
Night.